Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really powerful paradigm shift. We're looking at how the socioeconomic bottom, the actual foundation of our society, dictates our collective future. We're pulling from an analysis called The Foundation, Why the Societal Base Shapes Our Future. It totally challenges that traditional top-down view we're so used to. Instead, it asks us, hey, what's happening on the ground floor? Because, as you'll see, the health of that base absolutely determines the stability of everything built right on top of it.
So to kick things off, I want you to picture a group that makes up, say, 60 to 80% of your entire community. Depending on where you live and the local inequality levels, this is the actual reality. By sheer volume alone, they are the absolute numerical majority, right? But here's the wild part. Ironically, this massive group often feels completely powerless when it comes to the grand scheme of societal decision-making.
Section 1. The Societal Pyramid Base. Let's quickly identify exactly who makes up this foundational layer.
Their daily reality matters to every single one of us. Look at these numbers. The vast majority, roughly 70% in this representative model, falls squarely into this foundational base. We're talking about the laborers, the service workers, the working poor, and the underemployed. Meanwhile, the middle tier accounts for 20%, and the top tier, just 10%. These folks in the base are literally the gears keeping society turning. The source material highlights a pretty stark reality here. Without them, businesses, infrastructure, and just our day-to-day lives would simply grind to a halt. No question.
The crucial takeaway here is that the condition of the base ripples upward. The top absolutely cannot float free of the bottom. They are deeply and permanently tethered together. Think of it this way. If that foundational layer is thriving, the whole community prospers, right? You get more spending power, more stability. But if they're struggling with issues like rising crime, overburdened healthcare systems, or underfunded schools, well, everybody feels that weight. The quality of life for all of us is inevitably dragged down.
Section 2. A paradox of power. We're going to look at how they yield influence, even when they appear to have none.
So, there's a fascinating contradiction when it comes to this massive group. On the one hand, they typically lack traditional wealth, direct political influence, or, a loud voice in big decisions. Yet, on the flip side, their sheer numbers actually control local economies, social stability, and the overall trajectory of the community. Their influence isn't always organized or even intentional, but they hold this massive, almost passive, structural power.
Let's break down that structural power across three main pillars. First up, economic impact. Low-wage workers absolutely drive local economies. If they're underpaid or jobless, demand for goods and services just tanks, which is a direct hit to businesses. Second, social stability. Poverty and desperation often fuel unrest, protests, and crime. Honestly, keeping the base stable is what actually keeps the peace. And finally, moral weight. A community's character is ultimately reflected in how it treats its most vulnerable. If society neglects them, we all carry that moral fallout.
Moving on to Section 3, carrying the collateral baggage. Let's see what happens when the base flounders.
The source text uses a really sharp, memorable phrase for this phenomenon: collateral baggage. When neglected, the struggles down at the bottom, poverty, physical illness, mental health struggles, hopelessness, they don't just neatly stay at the bottom. No, they pile up and inevitably travel upward. They become this collateral baggage that the rest of society is forced to carry, whether we want to or not.
And this builds into very real-world consequences for the middle and upper tiers, what we might call the doing good crowd. You've probably felt this in your own everyday life. Step 1 is resource redistribution. This looks like higher taxes taken out of your paycheck to fund the social programs needed just to prop up a struggling base. Step 2 is community effort. This happens when local volunteers and nonprofits constantly have to step in because the foundational systems are completely failing. And Step 3 is economic drag. A struggling base means less consumer power, creating slower economic growth and putting an immense strain on public services that even the prosperous rely on, like emergency rooms and public transit.
The analysis presents a pretty stark warning. If the bottom collapses, the top tumbles. This really hits home the idea that the people who are prospering are the ones forced to carry and maintain all this baggage. Look back at history. Supporting the base isn't just about charity or goodwill. It's actually a matter of strict self-interest and interconnected societal physics. Revolutions and societal breakdowns usually happen right when the masses hit that breaking point.
Let's take a quick pause here. What if we completely flip this dynamic? Seriously, how might we change this societal equation from one of inevitable burden and endless damage control to one of incredible growth?
Section 4.
Flipping the script. Let's view this dynamic from a much more constructive perspective.
The secret here is redefining the base through the lens of untapped potential. Instead of seeing the bottom 70% as baggage to be managed, what if a community treats them as the actual key to prosperity? By purposefully equipping them with high-quality education, stable jobs, and reliable healthcare, the base entirely transforms. They go from being a perceived liability into our primary engine. When you strengthen that foundation, the pyramid doesn't just hold steady, it's actually able to grow way taller and so much stronger.
And the best part is, we have real-world studies backing this up. Under high inequality, a struggling base inherently creates a massive drag on public systems for everyone involved. But in countries with lower inequality, the source specifically cites Scandinavia as an example, we see higher overall well-being. And the data clearly shows that's not just higher well-being for the poor. It means a better quality of life for absolutely everyone across all tiers. It completely proves that elevating the base inevitably elevates the top.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the crucial question to ask about the future of your own community. Are we just patching the cracks, or are we actively building a taller pyramid? The sheer size and role of the foundational base means they are going to shape our collective fate, whether we like it or not, through their struggles or through their strengths. The true challenge for us is recognizing that structural reality and actually acting on it, rather than just leaving things to the doing good crowd to patch up the damage after the fact. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive, and keep asking those big questions about the structure of the society around you.